It is common practice to give students glossaries of words, particularly words in units of work, or in this case we're talking about the cognitions, so definitions of those cognitions. Certainly that is a necessary but not sufficient practice, and the reason that it's not sufficient is because definitions are often not student friendly. Why do we define a word? Well, we define a word to make something that's inaccessible accessible to students. So if we're providing them with a definition that contains words that require further defining, it's a bit like those Russian dolls where you just peel off a layer and there's another layer inside, then that's not especially helpful. So certainly glossaries are necessary but not sufficient. Also, that definition is from the point of view of how somebody else understands that word, not necessarily how you might understand it. So know that glossaries are necessary, they're not sufficient, they're a great starting point, and they will allow students to develop a superficial understanding of a term or a concept or an idea, but not necessarily a deep understanding, which is what we're eventually hoping for. We start with the glossary and then add to the mix any mix and match activities. There are several in hooking students into learning that you can use. These again will increase familiarity with terms, but not necessarily that deep understanding. But they're the next place you go to. A key thing with using a mix and match activity is to provide a cheat sheet. A cheat sheet is the answers basically, and students, as they do these mix and matching activities, when they get stuck, they can go to the cheat sheet and that will help them out. Depending on where you are in the learning sequence, for instance, in the early part of a unit, they may rely very heavily on the cheat sheet. As the unit progresses and hopefully they become more familiar with the vocabulary, they will use the cheat sheet less and less, and then prior to the assessment or to the test, you would hope they'd be able to match all the definitions with the words without the cheat sheet.